As companies look at how they can recover sustainably from the coronavirus pandemic, many are now confronting their own role in perpetuating the fossil economy. Now, 1 year ago, Energy Development Corporation, that is the largest renewable energy producer in the Philippines, convened the Net Zero Carbon Alliance. To talk about where we are now and where we're headed, the Executive Director of Net Zero Carbon Alliance, Attorney Alan Barcena of EDC, and Arthaland Corporation Sustainability Manager Christina Pobre joins us live this morning. Attorney Alan, Christina, welcome to Market Edge. Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Mimi. Good morning.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for having us.
Thank you for joining us this Monday morning, rainy Monday morning. So, Attorney Alan, I just want to start with you. You've just crossed the 1 year mark. What have you achieved and what have you learned so far?
Yeah. I think the greatest accomplishment of NZCA is being able to draft our framework, which will guide us and the members of NZCA in creating their plans to achieve net zero. And this framework is very simple. It's really just to reduce our carbon emissions, and whatever left with the emission, we need to offset it. So it's a reduction and offsetting of our carbon emissions as members of NZCA. And later on, that will be, again, as I've said, that will be the basis in creating specific targets and measurements.
Attorney Alan, I'm curious. So it's a combination of reduction and offsetting. Which is more? Is it more reduction or more offsetting at this point?
Hopefully, it's be more on the reduction part, because this is our first option and first choice. So there are a lot of strategies in reducing our carbon emissions. So one of them is shifting to renewable energy, and then embarking on carbon efficiency programs, energy efficiency programs, and hopefully this will significantly contribute in the reduction of the level of emission.
All right. Christina, I'm very curious. You're a member of this alliance. From a developer's perspective, as a representative of Arthaland, how creative do you have to get to net zero?
Actually, Vivi, that's a misconception at the moment. Getting to net zero, here in the Philippines, we already have the tools and the technologies that we need to get to net zero. I mean, for Arthaland, we've already had the first net zero certified project here in the country, and it's the Arthaland Century Pacific Tower. So the market already has these technologies. We have companies such as EDC to provide us the renewable energy as well. So no, we don't have to be as creative. We just have to do it.
That's the challenge. We just have to do it. You did mention one project of Arthaland is already net zero. How many other projects do you have in your profile, and when can it be 100% net zero for Arthaland?
So, okay, so just to give you a background, Arthaland is committed to a development portfolio of, we are committed to decarbonize 100% of our development portfolio by 2030. At the moment, we have two operational projects, but we have the commitment to actually grow our portfolio 5 times in 5 years, and we are actually almost done with that. So by the end of the year or the coming years, we'll have this 5 times growth in our development portfolio. Now we have 50%, more than actually around 60% of our existing carbon footprint is already decarbonized. We are looking to increasing that by the end of this year by around 70 to 80%.
Wow, impressive. So aside from getting your power from renewable energy players, how else are you getting to net zero?
Oh, for developers, we play a very big role in terms of decarbonizing the operations of many businesses and operations here in the country. The very first thing that we have to do is to reduce the energy of the building by integrating it in the design, so that when the tenants or the homeowners move into the building, they don't have to actually lift a finger to reduce their energy. So first, to attack it, to reduce the energy consumption of the building, and then to the energy that we actually need to operate the building, then we'll have to source it from 100% renewable energy. But particularly for Arthaland, there's a third component to that, and that's to verify our claims. It's very important for us to have this certifying bodies to actually to verify and vouch for us that our portfolio truly is net zero. Because again, this is a commitment that we really take seriously.
All right. Thank you, Christina. Attorney Allen, I'm curious, is carbon capture still the holy grail? I imagine there's so much pressure to earn carbon credits in creative ways, but do we have, the systems, the infrastructure in place to actually do this? I know that, tracking emissions has been pretty complex and tricky, to say the least, because we lack mandatory reporting requirements and standardized metrics. What do you think, Attorney Allen?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. As part of the offset strategies to create a carbon capture mechanism or a carbon storage mechanism, unfortunately, the technology to do that is not yet widely available. So for now, it's really the trees and the forest that stores carbon naturally. So this is why we are also embarking on nature-based solutions like forest restoration, so that our carbon sinks could become bigger, and hopefully they sequester more carbon from the atmosphere. But there are technologies in the world, in other countries, which are being developed at the moment. So these are injecting carbon on the ground, capturing carbon on site. But again, as I've said, these are not widely developed yet. But hopefully in the future, these technologies will become more widely available for us.
And the systems to measure carbon footprint, for example, for carbon accounting, are those systems readily accessible?
Yes, they are already readily accessible. When you say measurement or metrics, there are two sides of the coin. One is the level of your emission. Then you need to measure that and you need to have it validated, as Sam said a while ago. And then the other side will be the carbon sequestration capacity. That's for your offset program later on. So there are already standards and metrics around this measurements of carbon emission and sequestration.
Thank you, Attorney. Christina, I'm curious, are you seeing a lot more demand for these environmentally conscious and responsible projects from millennials, the Gen Zs, and hopefully, the Generation Alphas more than from the baby boomers?
Yes, actually, there are a lot of demand in terms of sustainability as well as the net zero. We see this more in actually multinational companies who want to take office in our buildings. They have more of a, in comparison to where we are locally, there's more demand internationally to go for net zero projects, or to at least to take office in these types of buildings. But we are very optimistic that local companies would also start moving towards the net zero commitment.
All right. And to both Attorney Allen and Christina, how do you think, this private sector initiative is aligned with government's own targets and initiatives? Does the government make it easy to do this or hard still? Attorney Allen?
It's actually very aligned because in NZCA, we are contributing to the reduction of carbon emission from companies who are, who made the commitment to become net zero, and this should translate into our national accomplishment, right? And therefore, government needs to recognize and support these kinds of initiatives, like creating alliances, partnerships, and collaboration. We are quite a small alliance or group, because we're just starting, and we're just focusing on renewable energy. But in the future, we hope that there will be more commitments, more collaboration in terms of achieving decarbonization and net zero in the Philippines.
All right. And Christina? I would actually second Sir Alan's message that this is actually very aligned to where the government is going. Because, Arthaland wouldn't be able to bring the first certified net zero building without the support of the government. Actually, very recently, we have the new program that has been passed by the government, which is the Green Energy Option Program. This we foresee that that a majority of percentage portfolio of Arthaland will be decarbonized because of this new program.
All right. And to both Christina and Attorney Allen, I'm very curious, what lessons, if any, What lessons can we and other power generators learn from what's happening in the UK and in Europe? I mean, they were leading this drive to renewables, and they're now in the middle of an energy crisis. It's not exactly the most encouraging, call to action for the others.
Yeah, the situation is not exactly the same as in Europe, but in the Philippines, one of the biggest sources of carbon emissions is still the energy sector. The second is the industries. And here, I think we can make a difference in terms of decarbonizing the energy sector by shifting to renewable energy and making sure that sources of energy that are not clean should be eventually phased out. We know that there's a transition that needs to happen. You cannot decarbonize the entire energy sector in overnight. So there has to be a transition or a plan to eventually shift into 100% renewable energy in a certain future time. And then that's what I think the government needs to plan and to organize around.
I'm very curious, Attorney Allen, you're 1 year into the Alliance. How many companies are part of this group?
So far, I think we are 8 or 9, but we're growing. So in our anniversary program, there are new members that are coming in, and we hope that NZCA will grow in number and influence. As a community of practice, as an alliance that shares best practices, and to influence more companies to commit to net zero and to decarbonization.
All right. And of course, Christina, what do you think has been the biggest help that you've gotten from the Alliance as the company itself, is also trying to get to net zero 100% in its portfolio?
Actually, with NZCA, the biggest help that we have is that the community and that the assurance that we are not alone in this journey. That we are all here to help each other drive net zero as fast as we can and at the scale, at the biggest scale that we can as well.
And it shouldn't just be the corporates. Individuals should also be playing their own role. We have an important role. I know there are some apps right now they can just easily download where individuals can, purchase carbon offsets, sort of try to eliminate their own footprint. You can do the math there, but they're all available in the fingertips. Attorney Allen, Christina, thank you so much for the work that you do for the planet, for the environment, and for joining us this morning. Good luck on this very noble endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.